Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Early in my journey building Alibaba, I discovered something that changed everything about how I approach success and personal growth. Most people rush into action, desperately trying to find the perfect strategy or the right opportunity, but they miss the fundamental truth that determines whether they'll achieve lasting success or burn out in frustration. The greatest mistake I made in my early days wasn't choosing the wrong business model or hiring the wrong people. It was focusing on what to do before understanding who I was. This realization about self-awareness became the foundation of everything I built, and it's the reason why some entrepreneurs thrive while others struggle endlessly despite having similar resources and opportunities. When I reflect on my failures before Alibaba, the rejections from Harvard, being turned down by KFC, watching other internet companies soar while I was still figuring things out, I realize now that each setback was teaching me something crucial about my identity. Your true strength doesn't come from copying successful strategies or following popular productivity tips. It comes from discovering your authentic self and aligning your actions with who you are at your core. I learned that when you know who you are, your decisions flow naturally, your energy becomes focused, and you stop wasting time trying to force results that don't match your natural abilities. This shift from doing to being changed not only my approach to business, but also my entire mindset about personal development and goal setting. The world celebrates action and quick results, but I discovered that sustainable success requires something deeper, a solid foundation of self-knowledge that can weather any storm. Think about it. You can learn all the time management techniques in the world, but if you don't understand your natural rhythms and energy patterns, you'll always feel like you're fighting against yourself. You can study every book on emotional intelligence and motivation, but without knowing your core values and what truly drives you, you'll find yourself constantly questioning your decisions and losing momentum. As I always say, if not now, when? If not me, who? But before you can answer these questions with conviction, you must first answer the most important question: who am I? The most surprising benefit was discovering how service without expectation attracts exactly the right opportunities and relationships for your next level of growth. When you're genuinely focused on adding value, you connect with people who share similar I've changed feel like an uphill battle. When I finally understood that being comes before doing and doing comes before having, everything shifted. I stopped trying to be someone else's version of successful and started building something that aligned with my natural strengths and values. The result wasn't just external success, it was a deep sense of fulfillment that comes from knowing you're living authentically. And this inner alignment became the secret ingredient that made all the difference in building something that would impact millions of lives worldwide. During one of the darkest periods of my entrepreneurial journey, when investors were pulling out and competitors seemed insurmountable, I learned a truth that completely transformed my approach to challenges and mental resilience. Many people give up not because the obstacle is actually too big, but because they believe it's bigger than their capacity to overcome it. This shift in mindset isn't just about positive thinking or motivation, it's about understanding a fundamental principle that governs success. Every challenge you encounter is perfectly sized for your current level of growth. What appears overwhelming today is simply revealing the person you need to become tomorrow, and this realization changed how I viewed every setback, rejection, and seemingly impossible situation. The breakthrough came when I stopped asking, how can I avoid this problem? And started asking, what is this problem trying to teach me about my own potential? When you change your relationship with obstacles, something profound happens. You begin to see them not as barriers, but as training equipment designed specifically for your development. I discovered that the same challenge that breaks one person becomes the foundation that strengthens another, and the difference isn't in the size of the obstacle, but in how we perceive our own power to overcome it. This understanding of self-discipline and willpower development became crucial in building Alibaba because every day brought new challenges that seemed impossible until we conquered them. What fascinated me most was realizing that obstacles have a strange way of matching your current capacity for growth. They're never too small to be meaningless or too large to be unconquerable. It's as if life has an internal GPS that delivers exactly the right challenge at exactly the right time to develop exactly the skills you need for your next level of success. When you embrace this perspective, fear transforms into curiosity, frustration becomes fuel, and what once felt overwhelming now feels like an invitation to discover capabilities you didn't know you possessed. This mindset shift doesn't just apply to business, It revolutionizes how you approach personal relationships, health goals, and every area where you want to see improvement. The most powerful realization was understanding that obstacles aren't external forces trying to defeat you. They're internal opportunities disguised as external challenges. Every setback I faced while building Alibaba taught me something essential about leadership, resilience, or innovation that I couldn't have learned any other way. When you start viewing challenges as customized training programs designed for your specific growth, you develop an unshakable confidence that comes from knowing that whatever appears in your path, you already have everything you need to overcome it. This isn't blind optimism. It's a practical understanding that your obstacles are perfectly calibrated to reveal and develop the exact strengths you need for your journey ahead. After years of studying successful people and analyzing my own transformation from English teacher to entrepreneur, I uncovered a pattern that explains why some people create lasting change while others remain stuck despite knowing exactly what they should do. The gap between knowledge and transformation isn't filled by more information or better strategies. It's bridged by understanding the four-stage process that turns awareness into automatic behavior. This discovery about consciousness and action became the secret behind not just personal success, but organizational transformation. And it's the reason why some companies evolve while others stagnate even when they have access to the same market intelligence and resources. The first stage is consciousness. That moment when you clearly see what's limiting your progress or holding back your potential. But here's what most people miss. Awareness without intention is just expensive entertainment. You can attend seminars, read self-improvement books, and gain incredible insights, but without the second stage, intention, you're just collecting information instead of creating transformation. Intention is the decision to act on what you now understand, the commitment to move from knowing to doing. This is where many people get stuck because intention requires you to take responsibility for changing, not just understanding what needs to change. The third stage is decision. The moment you cut away everything that doesn't align with your new direction. This isn't about making a choice. It's about eliminating alternatives that keep you divided and unfocused. When I decided to leave teaching to pursue internet business, it wasn't just choosing a new path. It was closing the door on the comfortable, predictable life I knew. Decision creates clarity because it forces you to stop living in multiple possibilities and commit fully to one direction. Without this stage, you remain in permanent preparation mode, always getting ready to change but never actually changing. The final stage is discipline, the daily practice of acting consistently with your new identity until it becomes automatic. This is where goal setting and continuous learning become practical tools rather than abstract concepts. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. It's about training yourself to want what your future self needs. When you master this four-stage cycle, transformation stops being something that happens to you occasionally and becomes something you can create deliberately. The most successful people I know have learned to move through this cycle quickly and repeatedly, constantly evolving and adapting rather than waiting for external circumstances to force change upon them. One of the most profound lessons I learned while watching Alibaba grow from a small apartment-based startup to a global platform came from observing how sustainable success actually develops. Most entrepreneurs want to show results immediately. They focus on the visible achievements, the public recognition, the external validation, but they neglect the invisible foundation that makes lasting success possible. A healthy tree grows in two directions simultaneously. Its roots go deep into the earth while its branches reach toward the light. Your personal and professional development must follow the same principle. And understanding this balance between visible achievement and invisible preparation became the key to building something that could withstand any storm. The roots represent everything that happens in private, the hours you spend studying, the mistakes you make when nobody's watching, the internal work of developing emotional intelligence and mental resilience. These are the lonely nights spent learning new skills, the difficult conversations with yourself about your limitations, the disciplined practice of building success habits that nobody sees or celebrates. When I was preparing to launch Alibaba, I spent countless hours learning about internet technology, studying successful companies, and developing the mindset needed to lead a team through uncertainty. This underground work felt slow and unrewarding at the time, but it became the foundation that supported everything we built later. The fruits are what the world sees: your achievements, your income, your recognition, your impact on others. But here's what I discovered. People who focus only on producing fruit without nurturing their roots inevitably burn out or plateau because they're trying to sustain growth without the infrastructure to support it. It's like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation designed for a single-story house. True wealth and influence come from the patience to develop deep capabilities before demanding immediate results. This patience requires a different kind of productivity, one that values preparation as much as performance, and recognizes that invisible progress is still progress. The most successful people I know have learned to be comfortable with the tension between developing privately and performing publicly. They understand that every public victory is supported by numerous private defeats, and every visible breakthrough is built on invisible breakthroughs that happened when nobody was watching. When you honor both aspects of growth, the seen and the unseen, the celebrated and the overlooked, you create a foundation strong enough to support whatever level of success you're called to achieve. This dual focus on roots and fruits doesn't just apply to business. It transforms how you approach relationships, health, creativity, and every area where you want to create lasting positive change. During my transition from employee to entrepreneur, I made a discovery that completely changed how I think about money, time, and the relationship between effort and reward. Most people are trapped in a dangerous equation. They trade hours for dollars, years for security, and ultimately, their life force for the things they want. But there's another way, a path that allows you to create value through innovation and problem solving, rather than simply exchanging time for money. This shift from linear thinking to exponential thinking isn't just about building wealth, it's about reclaiming your most precious resource and using your natural creativity to generate abundance rather than scarcity. The breakthrough came when I realized that every problem in the world represents an opportunity for someone who can provide a solution. Instead of asking, how can I work more hours to make more money? I started asking, what problem can I solve that people would gladly pay me to handle? This question led to creating solutions that could work while I slept, scale without my constant involvement, and generate value far beyond the time I invested in creating them. When you shift from trading time to creating value, you unlock possibilities that simply don't exist in the traditional work for wages model. And this understanding of leverage becomes a cornerstone of both personal growth and financial freedom. What amazed me was discovering how many people have incredible creative potential but never tap into it because they're too busy being busy. They spend their days handling other people's priorities and their evenings, too exhausted to pursue their own ideas. Breaking this cycle requires what I call creative courage, the willingness to bet on your ideas instead of just your labor. This doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow. It means starting to view yourself as a problem solver and value creator rather than just a task completer. Even small steps in this direction, freelancing your skills, creating digital products, or building systems that generate passive income, begin to shift your relationship with money and time. The most liberating aspect of this approach is that it aligns your financial goals with your personal fulfillment rather than forcing you to choose between them. When you're solving problems you care about and creating value that makes a difference, work stops feeling like work and starts feeling like contribution. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but each creative solution you develop builds your confidence and expands your capacity to think beyond traditional limitations. The goal isn't to eliminate effort, but to ensure your effort compounds over time rather than simply repeating the same value exchange day after day. Throughout my entrepreneurial journey, I held on to a dangerous belief that nearly derailed everything I was trying to build. I thought there would come a moment when I could finally say, I've made it. When the struggle would end, the uncertainty would disappear, and I could finally relax and enjoy the fruits of my labor. This illusion of a finish line not only made me impatient with necessary processes, but also prevented me from appreciating the incredible growth that was happening along the way. The day I realized that the journey itself was the real reward, everything changed about how I approached challenges, setbacks, and the daily work of building something meaningful. What I discovered was profoundly counterintuitive. If you're not fulfilled during the process, you won't be fulfilled by the outcome. Success habits and goal setting become meaningless if you're constantly postponing satisfaction until some future achievement. The most successful people I've met aren't those who reached a particular destination, but those who learned to find meaning and joy in the process of growth itself. This shift in perspective transforms every obstacle from a delay into a development opportunity, every setback from a failure into feedback, and every difficult season from something to endure into something to embrace. One of my favorite analogies comes from mountaineering. Amateur climbers focus on reaching the summit, but experienced mountaineers fall in love with the climb itself. They understand that the summit is just a moment, but the journey up the mountain, with all its challenges, discoveries, and transformations, is where the real adventure happens. When you apply this mindset to personal development and business building, you stop rushing through the learning phases and start appreciating them as the most valuable part of the entire experience. This patience with process is what separates those who build lasting success from those who burn out chasing quick wins. The most profound realization was understanding that who you become during the journey is infinitely more valuable than what you achieve at the end of it. Every skill you develop, every relationship you build, every moment of character growth that happens while pursuing your goals, these internal transformations are the real treasure. As I often reflect, if you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. The journey changes you in ways that make you capable of handling whatever level of success you're meant to achieve. And this personal evolution is the foundation that makes external achievements sustainable and meaningful. Early in my career, I was driven by all the wrong motivations. I wanted money for security, recognition for validation, and success to prove something to the people who had doubted me. This approach led to constant anxiety, never-ending competition, and a hollow feeling even when I achieved what I thought I wanted. The transformation began when I shifted my focus from getting to giving, from building my empire to serving something larger than myself. This wasn't just a philosophical change. It was a practical strategy that unlocked resources, opportunities, and relationships that had been invisible when I was focused solely on personal gain. When I started prioritizing value creation over value extraction, something remarkable happened. The very things I had been chasing began to chase me instead. Clients appeared when I focused on solving their problems rather than selling my services. Investors became interested when I demonstrated genuine care for market needs rather than just profit potential. Team members committed more deeply when they saw that our mission was about making a positive impact rather than just building personal wealth. This principle of service-first thinking became the foundation of Alibaba's culture and the secret behind our ability to scale rapidly while maintaining trust and loyalty. The counterintuitive truth is that the more you focus on others' success, the more your own success becomes inevitable. This isn't karma or mystical thinking, it's practical economics. When you consistently deliver value, solve real problems, and genuinely care about other people's outcomes, you become irreplaceable in ways that go far beyond skill or knowledge. People remember how you made them feel, they trust your intentions, and they naturally want to support your success because they've experienced your commitment to theirs. This approach to building relationships and conducting business creates a foundation that can support unlimited growth. What I find most fascinating about this principle is how it eliminates the exhausting work of self-promotion and creates natural momentum instead. When your reputation is built on genuine service and authentic value creation, opportunities find you rather than requiring you to constantly chase them. This doesn't mean being passive or waiting for things to happen. It means being so focused on excellence and contribution that your work speaks for itself. The energy you would have spent on marketing, networking, and positioning gets redirected into becoming so good at serving others that demand for your contribution becomes inevitable. One of the most exhausting periods of my life was when I tried to build Alibaba by copying the strategies, leadership style, and business model of other successful internet companies. I studied Jeff Bezos, admired the Google founders, and attempted to replicate their approaches in the Chinese market. Not only did this strategy fail miserably, but it also disconnected me from my natural strengths and authentic voice. The breakthrough came when I realized that success isn't about becoming a better version of someone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. And this shift from imitation to authenticity became the foundation of everything that worked. The business world is full of templates, proven formulas, and best practices that promise to shortcut your path to success. But here's what I learned. These external strategies only work when they align with your internal nature. When you try to force yourself into someone else's mold, you create internal resistance that sabotages your progress. Your energy becomes divided between maintaining a performance and doing the actual work. and this division shows up in everything from your decision-making to your team leadership. Authentic success requires you to identify your unique strengths, natural communication style, and personal values, then build strategies that amplify rather than contradict these core elements. What amazed me was discovering how much easier everything became when I stopped fighting my natural tendencies and started leveraging them instead. My unconventional background as an English teacher wasn't a liability in the tech world. It became my greatest asset because it gave me a different perspective on user experience and global communication. My tendency to be optimistic and enthusiastic wasn't unprofessional. It became the cultural foundation that attracted the right team members and inspired them through difficult periods. When you embrace your authentic self, what you once saw as weaknesses often transform into your most distinctive strengths. The most liberating aspect of this journey was realizing that authenticity isn't just about personal fulfillment, it's about market differentiation. In a world where everyone is trying to copy the same successful models, being genuinely yourself becomes the ultimate competitive advantage. People connect with authenticity because it's increasingly rare, and this connection creates loyalty that goes beyond product features or pricing. When you build from your authentic center rather than from borrowed strategies, you create something that can't be replicated because it emerges from the unique combination of experiences, perspectives, and capabilities that only you possess. Throughout my journey from English teacher to technology entrepreneur, the single most valuable asset wasn't my initial business knowledge or technical skills. It was my commitment to continuous learning and intellectual curiosity. This dedication to growth mindset and self-improvement became the secret weapon that allowed me to navigate industries I knew nothing about, adapt to rapidly changing markets, and make decisions in situations where I had no previous experience. What started as necessity, needing to understand internet technology, global markets, and team leadership, evolved into a lifestyle that made every challenge feel like an adventure rather than an obstacle. The transformation happened when I shifted from learning to complete my education to learning to expand my possibilities. Traditional education teaches you to study until you know enough to get a job, but entrepreneurial education means studying until you know enough to create opportunities that don't yet exist. This shift requires what I call beginner's mind, the willingness to be confused, make mistakes, and ask questions that might seem obvious to others. Every conversation became a masterclass, every failure became a case study, and every success became a lesson in what worked and why. What fascinated me most was discovering how learning compounds differently than other investments. When you learn something new, it doesn't just add to your knowledge base. It connects with everything else you know and creates new possibilities you couldn't have imagined before. Reading about psychology improved my leadership skills, studying history gave me perspective on market cycles, and learning about different cultures enhanced my ability to build global partnerships. This interconnected learning creates what I call exponential wisdom, insights that emerge from combining knowledge from seemingly unrelated fields. The most practical benefit of making learning a lifestyle is that it eliminates the fear of change and uncertainty. When you're confident in your ability to learn anything you need to know, new challenges become exciting rather than intimidating. Market shifts become opportunities to gain competitive advantages, technological changes become chances to innovate, and personal setbacks become data for making better decisions. This confidence in your learning ability becomes more valuable than any specific skill because it ensures you can adapt to whatever the future requires, regardless of how different it looks from today. The moments that nearly broke me became the foundation stones of everything I built afterward. When Harvard rejected me, when KFC wouldn't hire me, when investors walked away from early internet ventures, each experience felt like confirmation that I wasn't capable of achieving what I dreamed about. But what I discovered was that these painful moments weren't random obstacles or unlucky breaks. They were precisely calibrated lessons designed to teach me exactly what I needed to know for the next level of my journey. This realization about resilience and growth through adversity became the cornerstone of my approach to both personal development and business building. The breakthrough came when I stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "What is this teaching me about myself and my path?" When you shift from victim thinking to student thinking, pain transforms from something that diminishes you into something that develops you. Every rejection taught me something about persistence. Every failure revealed weaknesses in my strategy or preparation, and every setback forced me to develop capabilities I wouldn't have needed if everything had gone smoothly. This isn't about glorifying suffering. It's about extracting maximum value from the difficulties that are inevitable parts of any meaningful journey. What surprised me most was discovering how these transformed pains became bridges to connect with others facing similar challenges. The struggles I had overcome gave me credibility and empathy when mentoring other entrepreneurs, leading teams through uncertain periods, and building products for people whose problems I understood intimately. Your greatest wounds, when properly healed and integrated, become your most powerful tools for serving others. This transformation from personal pain to public purpose creates meaning that goes far beyond individual success and touches the lives of people you may never meet personally. The most profound realization was understanding that pain processed properly becomes wisdom, but pain avoided or suppressed becomes baggage. When you face difficulties with curiosity rather than resistance, extract lessons rather than just enduring experiences, and use insights to help others rather than just helping yourself, you create a cycle where even negative experiences contribute to positive outcomes. As I often say, when you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. This perspective doesn't eliminate pain, but it ensures that every painful experience serves a purpose in building the person you're meant to become. One of the most counterintuitive discoveries in my entrepreneurial journey was that the fastest way to build wealth and influence was to stop trying to build wealth and influence. When I shifted my focus from what I could get to what I could give, everything changed. Not just in my business results, but in my personal satisfaction and the quality of relationships I was able to build. This principle of service without expectation became the secret ingredient that transformed Alibaba from a small startup into a platform that empowers millions of small businesses worldwide, and it's a strategy that works regardless of your industry, experience level, or current circumstances. The transformation began when I realized that generosity creates abundance rather than depleting it. When you solve someone's problem without demanding immediate payment, recommend resources that benefit them, even if you don't profit, or share knowledge that helps competitors improve their results, you're making deposits in a universal account that pays dividends in ways you can't predict or control. This isn't mystical thinking, it's practical relationship building that creates trust, generates referrals, and positions you as someone who cares about outcomes rather than just income. What amazed me was how this approach eliminated the exhausting work of selling and replaced it with the natural momentum of serving. When people experience your genuine commitment to their success, they become advocates for your business without being asked. They refer opportunities, share your content, and choose your services not because you convince them to, but because they've experienced the difference between someone who serves and someone who sells. This organic growth creates sustainable competitive advantages that can't be replicated by companies focused solely on profit maximization. The most surprising benefit was discovering how service without expectation attracts exactly the right opportunities and relationships for your next level of growth. When you're genuinely focused on adding value, you connect with people who share similar values and vision. These relationships become the foundation for partnerships, collaborations, and opportunities that you couldn't have planned or predicted. This approach to building business relationships creates a network effect where your reputation opens doors that remain closed to those who lead with self-interest rather than service. As I reflect on the decades since starting Alibaba, one truth has become crystal clear. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you start declining. The most dangerous position for any entrepreneur, leader, or individual pursuing personal growth is the belief that they've learned enough, achieved enough, or become enough to coast on past successes. This commitment to continuous evolution and daily improvement isn't just about staying competitive in business. It's about honoring the unlimited potential that exists within every human being and ensuring that your best days are always ahead of you rather than behind you. What I've discovered is that growth isn't linear, and it never stops presenting new challenges that require you to expand beyond your current capabilities. Every level of success brings new problems that require new skills. Every achievement opens doors to opportunities that demand greater wisdom. And every milestone reveals how much more is possible when you're willing to keep learning and evolving. This isn't a burden. It's the most exciting aspect of being alive. The knowledge that you can always become more, contribute more, and impact more people, means that boredom and stagnation are choices rather than inevitable consequences of aging or achieving. The practical application of this principle means asking different questions every day. Who can I become today that I wasn't yesterday? What assumption can I challenge that might be limiting my thinking? How can I serve at a higher level than I did last month? These questions keep you in a state of active growth rather than passive maintenance. They ensure that your skills, relationships, and contributions continue expanding rather than gradually declining through neglect or complacency. This daily commitment to evolution creates a compounding effect where small improvements accumulate into extraordinary capabilities over time. The most beautiful aspect of embracing lifelong growth is that it transforms your relationship with time and aging. Instead of viewing years as something that diminishes your potential, you see them as additional opportunities to refine your wisdom, deepen your impact, and master new dimensions of contribution. Success stops being about reaching a destination and becomes about enjoying the journey of constant becoming. This perspective ensures that your most significant contributions and deepest fulfillment are always available in the present moment, regardless of what you've achieved in the past or what you hope to accomplish in the future.
In a captivating presentation that left millions of viewers spellbound, Jack Ma delivered one of his most profound speeches about the mindset required for building lasting wealth and success. The co-founder of Alibaba shared intimate details about his transformation from a rejected English teacher to one of the world's most influential entrepreneurs, revealing the mental frameworks that separate those who achieve extraordinary results from those who remain trapped in cycles of struggle and limitation. Jack Ma's authentic storytelling and practical wisdom created an emotional connection with audiences worldwide, as he dismantled common myths about success and replaced them with time-tested principles that anyone can apply regardless of their starting point. Throughout his presentation, Jack Ma emphasized that true wealth begins in the mind long before it manifests in bank accounts or business achievements. He shared personal anecdotes about his numerous failures and rejections, including being turned down by Harvard and KFC, and how these experiences taught him that success isn't about avoiding obstacles, but about developing the right relationship with them. Jack Ma's characteristic humor and self-deprecating stories made complex concepts accessible, while his genuine passion for helping others succeed created an atmosphere of possibility that transcended cultural and economic barriers. The speech covered 12 transformational principles that form the foundation of what Jack Ma calls wealth consciousness, the mental operating system that allows individuals to create value, serve others, and build sustainable prosperity. From discovering your authentic identity before taking action to transforming pain into wisdom, Jack Ma provided a comprehensive roadmap for personal and professional development. His insights on creativity over time trading, the importance of continuous learning, and the power of serving without expectation offered practical alternatives to conventional approaches that often lead to burnout and frustration. Perhaps most powerfully, Jack Ma demonstrated how authenticity becomes the ultimate competitive advantage in a world where everyone is trying to copy the same successful formulas. He shared how embracing his unconventional background and natural communication style became the foundation of Alibaba's culture and global appeal. The presentation included specific strategies for developing emotional intelligence, building mental resilience, and creating systems that generate value while honoring personal values and long-term vision. Jack Ma concluded by challenging viewers to see their journey as a continuous evolution rather than a destination to reach, encouraging them to embrace daily growth and maintain beginners' mind regardless of their current level of success. His message that the journey never ends resonated deeply with audiences seeking both practical business strategies and deeper meaning in their pursuit of achievement. The combination of vulnerable storytelling, actionable insights, and inspirational vision created a presentation that viewers described as life-changing and worth watching repeatedly for motivation and guidance. The overwhelming response to Jack Ma's presentation demonstrated the universal hunger for authentic leadership and practical wisdom about building wealth while maintaining integrity and purpose. His ability to combine Eastern philosophy with Western business principles, serious strategy with lighthearted humor, and personal vulnerability with confident vision created a masterpiece of motivational content that continues to inspire entrepreneurs and individuals pursuing personal growth around the world. Now that you've experienced these 12 transformational principles from Jack Ma's wealth consciousness framework, the real question becomes, what will you do with this knowledge? Will these insights remain as inspiration that fades by tomorrow, or will they become the foundation for the next chapter of your life? The difference between those who create lasting change and those who remain stuck isn't in what they know. It's in what they consistently apply. Every principle we've explored tonight, from discovering your authentic identity to embracing lifelong evolution, only becomes powerful when you put it into practice with dedication and focus. I want you to pause right now and ask yourself, which of these 12 principles resonated most deeply with your current situation? Was it the realization that obstacles are perfectly sized for your growth? The understanding that authenticity becomes your ultimate competitive advantage? Or perhaps the insight that serving others without expectation creates the fastest path to sustainable success? Whatever struck you most powerfully, that's where your transformation begins. Don't try to implement everything at once. Choose one principle and commit to practicing it daily for the next 30 days. Consider this your personal invitation to join the ranks of those who refuse to accept limitation as permanent and who understand that your mind truly must have the purpose of wealth, not just financial wealth, but richness in relationships, contribution, and personal fulfillment. Every day you delay applying these principles is another day you're settling for less than your full potential. The world needs what you have to offer, but only when you develop the courage to offer it authentically and consistently. Your journey toward wealth consciousness starts with a single decision, followed by consistent action. Which principle will you implement first? How will you measure your progress? What obstacles do you anticipate? And how will you use Jack Ma's framework to transform them into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks? Share in the comments below which insight hit you hardest and commit publicly to taking action. This accountability will multiply your chances of success. If this content has sparked something inside you, don't let that spark die out. Subscribe to this channel right now, because finding content like this again will be nearly impossible if you don't take action immediately. Hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we release new transformational content that can accelerate your personal and professional growth. Your future self will thank you for making this commitment to continuous learning and improvement. The next video, appearing on your screen, will take you even deeper into the mindset strategies that separate extraordinary achievers from everyone else. Click on it now, while this motivation is still fresh, and continue building the mental foundation that will support whatever level of success you're meant to achieve. Your transformation is waiting. Don't keep it waiting any longer.